Inferno, Canto 17. The monster Geryon representing fraud is described. While Virgil is speaking to him, Dante proceeds to examine the fraudulent sinners and usurers in this third compartment. On his return they both descend into the eighth circle on the backs of Geryon.
Behold the beast with sharpened tail acute, who pierces mountain wall and armed host. Behold the beast who doth the world pollute. Me in these words my faithful guide bespake, then beckoned him to land upon the coast, and where the causeway ends his station take. Nor did frauds based with filthy image fail to raise upon the bank his head and breast, but on the shore he drew not forth his tail. The features of an honest man he wore, so outwardly benignant, all the rest the semblance of a wily serpent bore. 2 branching arms he had, all rough with hair, and either flank his back and ample chest, embossed with knots and traced with circles were, not richer hues embroidered or inlaid by Turks or Tartars, ere adorned a vest, nor such the gorgeous web Arachne made, as oft light vessels stand upon the shore, part in the water, part upon the land, and as where dwells the greedy German boar, the beaver sits, intent to watch his prey. So on the edge of stone that fenced the sand, crouching, this beast most execrable lay. High o'er the void, his tail through every joint, he vibrated, quick writhing to and fro, the scorpion fork which armed the envenomed point. Exclaimed my sage conductor, now 'tis meet to turn awhile, and on the margin go, until we reach that monster of deceit. We then descended bearing to the right, and walked 10 paces onward o'er the strand, to shun the flames and burning marl in sight. Arriving near the beast, not far beyond, I view a party seated on the sand, near to the margin of the gulf profound. Then Virgil, that experience thou mayst learn, and of this round the horrors comprehend, go, and thyself their sad estate discern. But have a care lest thou thy speech prolong. I will entreat the beast his aid to lend, and bear us down upon his shoulders strong. Alone I thus proceed to the place, still coasting the 7th circle's boundary, where seated I beheld this woeful race. Grief gushing through their eyes a passage found, and each applied his hands alternately against the vapor and the torrid ground, like dogs, who, basking in the summer's heat, when gadflies fierce and busy gnats torment, now frequent ply the mouth, and now the feet. I gazed on many of these spirits grieved, or whom falls down the fiery element, but none of them I knew, yet I perceived that from the neck of each a purse was strung, with certain signs and certain color decked. On this it seemed their sight with fondness hung, and when I came among them, looking round, I saw a lion's semblance and aspect, painted in azure on a yellow ground. Extending then mine eyes amid the herd, another purse I saw as red as blood, on which was wrought a goose more white than curd, and one upon whose purse of argent hue a lusty swine in azure colors stood, exclaimed, in this abyss what dost thou? Begone, and sense of life thou art not reft. No, Vitelliano, my rich neighbor there, shall take his seat with me upon my left. A Paduan I, mid Florentines am here, and oftentimes they thunder in my ear. Let him arrive, they mighty cavalier, who with 3 beaks a satchel shall disclose. Thereat he writhed his mouth and showed his tongue, in like unto an ox that licks his nose. I who now feared that my protracted stay might anger him, and who bade me not be long, back from the weary spirits took my way. On the fierce monster's haunches I behold, already seated high, my faithful guide, who's thus enjoined me, now be firm and bold, such are the stairs by which we must descend. Climb thou in front, and I behind will ride, lest any mischief from the tail impend. As he who is threatened with an ague fit, his nails already blue, all shivering cold, looks on the shade, unable to retreat, such I became, but by his threats restored. I felt that shame which makes the servant bold, when in the presence of a gracious lord, high on his shoulders wide, I took my seat, and would have said, Beware and hold me fast, but words came not my wishes to complete. Then he who oft before had lent me aid in arduous enterprise flung round my waist his friendly arms upholding me, and said, Now, Geryon, may you take your downward way. Large be your circles, slow be your descent. Think what unusual burden you convey. Then as a little vessel out of port backs by degrees into the monster we went, and when he was at a liberty to sport, his tail he turned to where his breast had been, moving it thus extended like an eel, while with his arms the air he gathered in. Nor erst, I ween, existed greater fears, when Phaeton from his chariot headlong fell, whereby the heavens took fire, as still appears. Nor when the wretched Icarus in dismay felt the wax melting and the feathers fall, his father crying, Dangerous is thy way. Then I experienced high upborne in the air all around. How did the void appall? For naught except the dreaded beast was there. Onward by slow degrees he swam, and slow, wheeling, descended, unperceived by me, save that a vapor fanned me from below. Now on the right I heard the vortex dread, rearing beneath, whereat full eagerly I downward cast mine eye with bending head. Still more was I dismayed to view it near, for flames were seen, and lamentations heard. Wherefore I gathered upon my limbs for fear, and by the woes which burst upon my sight from every side, now plainly first appeared the circling motion and our downward flight, e'en as a falcon which upward in air long time without descrying lure our bird, making the falconer utter in despair, Alas, thou stoopst. Fatigue descends from high, then whirling swiftly round in many a ring, far from his master sits disdainfully. Thus lighting, Geryon placed us on our feet beneath the rock, and then again took wing, soon as he felt disburdened of our weight, like to an arrow starting from the string.